most roads are unknown. These are the paranormal roads.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to Paranormal Roads. I'm Jack.
And I'm Mike. Today we're going to be talking about time travel and portals.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. I mean, to, take the physical and the ethereal and jam them together, that's like one of my most favorite things to do.
It's very unknown.
Right.
Right now it's more science fiction.
Right, a lot of movies made about it, Back to the Future.
Superheroes.
Right, superhero, all that kind of stuff. But actually, time travel does exist, and if you talk to a scientist, they will tell you that time travel exists, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But basically, time travel is just the concept of moving between different points of time and space. Quantum mechanics, general relativity suggests it can eventually be accomplished. But these scientists agree that you don't actually travel. A lot of it is space-time.
Yeah.
Right. Space-time folds together. So you have point A on one side of a piece of paper, and you have point B on the other side of a piece of paper. You don't actually move across the paper from point A to point B. The paper folds in half, and the 2 points touch. So you're actually not traveling.
A lot of scientists think the act of the paper itself, the whole purpose, like there's actually like a layer, is because of gravity. Gravity pins a section over here, pins a section. It's kind of like when you're, like, I'm not a seamstress, but when you you're making a dress, and it's kind of like that. Think of it like that. Time, it's kind of like it's important, but it's not everything.
Right.
When you're building a dress, you got to put needles and you connect it together. So history is connected together. People don't live. We won't live on this earth the same time other people live on this earth, but in the long run, we'll all live in that whole span.
That's a good analogy.
So the gravity pins everyone together, but we don't all exist all at once. But at the same time, we always exist.
Right. Huh.
So.
Well, we also have Shelley on the show today.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Good. I don't know if you know anything about time travel.
I do.
Oh, do you?
I do. Yeah, actually, I experience it. I've experienced it several times in my life. I think most anybody could, and I'm not so sure everybody doesn't. To a degree, they just don't recognize it. Maybe they see it in altered states, such as sleep.
Right.
Or, maybe daydreams or what have you, but we all actually live at different places doing different things all at the same time. I would have to say there is no such thing as linear time. It's a concept we made up so that we can understand the bodies that we're in and live this life in this dimension.
Yeah, wow.
That's
belief. Great.
Sure.
Yeah, that's very good. Where do you go from there? I mean, if you talk about scientists, there's Stephen Hawking's. He has a theory. Stephen Hawking believes there is no time travel because there are no time travelers from the future here. Like, there's nobody saying, "Hey, I'm from the future," and I came back to, eat, dress up in the '80s or whatever,
Sure.
trick or treat or whatever.
Sure. That would be sort of a one-dimensional take on it. For example, I don't see radio waves.
Right.
I don't see cable TV waves, but the fact is that they exist. And as a matter of fact, you can DVR and watch something from last week.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things going on with time and so forth that people don't necessarily take in, because just this lifetime in this dimension is about all our brains can handle.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, we get snippets here and there. Some people call it deja vu.
Yeah.
Some people call it seeing things in the future. There are all sorts of things. I happen to have been fortunate enough that I've experienced being different places at different times and recognize I'm living here, and time is actually slower here, at least from my understanding. But I have lived and live at the same time other places.
Right.
Going with time slower here, that always takes me back to the Bible.
Oh, yeah?
Because in the Bible, like, you can find so many things in the Bible. The topic of time travel is actually in the Bible because it says a day on earth is like 1,000 days in heaven.
It has been my experience with some of the places. I've been gone maybe 2 minutes here, but I've lived almost an entire lifetime. And I know all the people. There are many other people. I'm part of that lifestyle. But back here, it's just 2 minutes. And the other thing I've experienced is I'm in a different physical form. Here, the first thing that always strikes me is I'm so heavy, and the effort that it takes to breathe is just crushing once I come back here. It's just absolutely amazing. There, it's more a different, almost being a frequency.
Yeah.
So, I would say gravity definitely plays a part here. And it's certainly noticeable, returning to this dimension and this time. Sure.
Right. Absolutely. And how you said about time, the difference.
Sure.
1 year, you said 1 year could seem like
1,000 years.
Right.
Like 1 day is 1,000 years, yeah.
Well,
sure.
Yeah, Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity does give criteria for people traveling back in the future. Like Stephen Hawking says nobody came back from the future, but, from the future to present. But Einstein, his theory says that people can go back because it already happened.
Yeah.
And one of them, the ways, is speed of light. He said if you go the speed of light away from Earth, you go out 6 months, the speed of light, and you turn around and you come back 6 months, speed of light. You've only been gone 1 year, but everybody on Earth, it will be dead that because it'll be 223 years to your 1 year.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you know what's really interesting? They're doing a Mars experiment pretty soon. Within the next 20 years, they're actually, or is it 16 months? I can't remember. But they're actually putting a team of people together. It's pretty soon. I think it's within the next 2 years.
Right.
They're asking people to volunteer to go on a one trip to Mars, where they're going to set up housing units there where you're just going to live. They're trying to get this done within the next 2 years, and it's not NASA. It's a private company.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the purpose?
They just want to make a colony on Mars.
Wow.
And they think that they could do it. So, you know what they say, private business really gets things done.
Oh, sure.
But these people, who would volunteer to do that? I seen a video where this guy volunteered, and he's got 3 kids, and his wife's like, well, if you decide to do that, I'm divorcing you. Wow. I'm not with
I contemplated it when you brought it up just a second ago, but I think I'm going to stay.
There you go.
I've been enough places.
But, they say it's a one trip, but say in 20 years, they have the technology, the thing that keeps it one trip is we don't have the thrust and the capability to fly back. Because it takes so much energy just to get it into the atmosphere.
Sure.
But let's say, what Mike just said, 6 months, maybe by the time 6 months passes, because I think it takes 6 months to get to Mars. I think. Or is it a year?
I'm not sure.
I think it's a year.
Maybe it's a year.
Yeah, it's more of a year.
So maybe by the time a year passes, maybe 100 years has passed on Earth.
Oh, wow.
And maybe within that 100 years, they've already sent out 4 more ships.
Ah, good point.
And they got, by the time they land on Mars, we got 100-year technology and more advanced ships coming to pick them up. And we just got here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of trippy, yeah. Yeah, I could see them, the Mars, whatever. One small step for man, and then another ship comes real fast. Psh, when a guy jumps out, no, I got here first. And then there's 6 ships behind him. Man, I wanted to be first.
And we left 100 years later, our ship's faster.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. I mean, you just spent half of your life flying to Mars, and we got here in 5 minutes. So
You'd be I'm your. And the really funny thing is, it's his great grandson or something that was on the 4th ship coming.
Oh yeah.
It's
yeah. That's funny.
It's oh, we thought you guys died 100 years ago. It's
But just think the news they would bring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From Earth.
All the technology be
all the
outdated.
technology, yeah.
They're all like wired up for Facebook. They're like, what's Facebook?
They're like Facebook, yeah. Things would change. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, well, okay. So, I want to get into portals, but first, I just wanted to say, because I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there is evidence of time travel. One, and the biggest one is gravitational time dilation. It's called. It happens with our people that go up in space now.
Yeah.
When they go up into space, it's only a minute time, but when they come back, there's a time difference. Like if they send a clock up in the space,
The clock time
around the Earth, the time in the ship is different than the time on Earth. It's minute, but if you would amplify that by 10,000 times, it would be years.
Well, I have a thought on that. You know how I said when I come back here to Earth, the gravity is so intense. But when I'm gone in other places, it's like I've lived almost a lifetime. I know all the people, but there's no gravity there. So do you
Right.
think those two things are related?
I really think gravity plays a big role in time travel.
Wow.
Because it's the weight alone.
Sure.
It's kind of like a river. The river flows, and if you build a dam is like gravity.
Sure.
It's just, instead of thinking up and down, think side to side. So, let's say time is a river.
Isn't that a song?
Maybe it is.
The time is a river. I think so.
Yeah, so time's a river. If you put gravity in the form of a dam, you're actually going to make the river wider,
Sure.
which would kind of symbolize weight.
Sure.
So instead of being heavier, you're getting bigger. And it kind of goes with Einstein's theory of relativity. The faster you get to the speed of light, the larger you're going to get. Your mass will become greater.
Okay.
I forget the percentage, but it's like to like the 10 to the 16th power or something like that. He had it calculated, but the faster you get, your mass gets bigger. Now, there's a lot of different theories on this, but instead of getting bigger, I think maybe you just get more dense.
Could
And
be.
it goes into the same effect of like a black hole.
Right.
So-
Einstein had his thought experiments. He called them thought experiments, where he pictured in his mind what would happen, like if you were in a car and the headlights were on and you were going the speed of light. Like, would you see the headlights? Or, and he always visualized that the ship that you would be in would get so large it couldn't even function.
Yeah.
So that, even Einstein is kind of saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
But as time travel is more physical, like, I'm going to go to this planet or that planet or back to Earth faster.
Yeah.
Like we're in this physical world. Where I think portals are more of moving dimension to dimension.
Yeah.
Which
It's like
is,
a
I
layer.
think, right. You get into quantum string theory.
Yep.
Like time is like strings together, and you can hop from one, like a guitar strings, you could hop from one string to the next. Where Shelley, one time she had the seizure, which she kind of referenced, she went to a completely different place.
Yeah, I've been to 3 different places.
She's been to 3 different places.
Sure.
And describe just briefly, like, what...
Oh, sure. One was a place where everything was, I want to say, vibration and light. It was almost like, I didn't see anyone have feet. No one had, like, faces or what have you. People were kind of color. It was almost like a blur, like a candle flame would look.
Right.
Sort of, but I recognized everybody and I knew everybody. You didn't walk with your feet. Everybody sort of floated. It was like they were on conveyors or something. They just kind of floated along,
Right.
Past each other. I don't remember anybody talking, but everybody knew what everybody was saying. But it was a lot more interactive, but peacefully interactive than here. I didn't feel any contention, but I knew I had an entire life there. I was very comfortable. When I'm in the other places, I forget that here exists. But here, I remember them all. So I don't know why that is. But that's the one where it hit me the most, how intense gravity was when I came back. And breathing, I mean, it's no wonder people get frustrated here. Breathing is hard. Your walking is hard.
Yeah.
It's much easier when you're vibration, energy, light.
Oh, sure.
And it's much easier to communicate that way, so people work better together. The next one was a place of stone, and I walked through. It looked like an archway of stone, and then back behind it, it was a round room, and it had benches all the way around, and there were 6 people sitting there, and they explained things to me, and it was very cold there. There wasn't a whole lot of emotion or anything. Everything was just sort of matter of fact. The place of light was a lot more interactive. It would kind of remind you of dance music.
Right.
You know, this was like literally looking at limestone or what have you. They were very stoic figures, but they weren't mean or anything.
Yeah, they're just real stoic.
Yeah,
focused.
Stoic. But they knew what the things they told me seemed so important. But they were very, very grounded. I can't remember the stuff now, but I knew at the time, and I knew that I had talked with them several times.
Right.
So I know I've been there several times. So that was the second one. And the third one was, it was closer to this. It was a lot closer to this. There was still the difference in gravity.
To Earth, yeah, to where we're at now.
To Earth, yeah. But it was, and it kind of had contention, like here. You know, people who did get along sometimes, didn't get along sometimes. Yeah. But I lived an entire life there, too. That one had more family units like we have here. The one with energy and light, everybody was a single person. There were no family units, so I don't know how.
It's like maybe your body wasn't really needed as much.
Yes,
so
there weren't any bodies.
It was just like
energy. like a flame.
So you there was no death really there. It was just you just existed.
You did until you merged into something else. And then I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but I know there were no family units. So everybody was singular, exist. One family.
So like maybe you like exist in there until your time's up.
And you have a purpose.
And then your purpose, and then maybe you have to go back to a physical body.
Maybe so, but I mean, you had one specific purpose, and it just filled you with joy. I felt absolutely cool. Complete, but I know there were no family units.
Cool.
Yeah, but everybody was happy.
You ever read the Tolkien's book? I never heard of this book until like a few weeks ago. It's called the Silmarillion, or I can't remember how to pronounce it very. You know what I'm talking about? It was the book prior to The Hobbit.
Sounds familiar a little bit.
But he talks about how the world was created, and what you're saying sounds so much like his book in a way.
Really?
Because everything that existed early was like a single chord of music, like
that would remind you very much of this. The way everything played together, it was very harmonious. But you weren't drawn into a family unit. Just single, you had a purpose, It made complete sense, and you were the essence of that tone, that energy. But every one of them was like a streak down almost like a flame on a lighter, but it had of yellow, but it had a streak down through it of different colors. There was a yellow, there was red, there was blue, but everything just worked together, and you were more a vibration or an energy. Sure.
You got to read the first chapter of this book.
Really?
Yeah, because you would really love it. Because I just read the first chapter like 2 weeks ago. Huh. Never heard of the book.
No, maybe the person who wrote it saw the same thing I did.
Well, Tolkien said this was real history when he was writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a fiction book, but he begins his book off with how the world's created, like the universe is created, not our world, just the whole universe.
Okay.
And everything starts with like each individual like energy.
Sure.
And then they make a vibration.
Sure.
And then they keep making the vibrations, and it turns from vibrations where they get harmonious, where it turns into music eventually.
Wow.
And then the music gets denser and denser, and then you get life formed from the sounds. And
here's the interesting thing. There's so much discord, like in this time and place, but the interesting thing is if everyone within themselves were quiet, they were created with their own chord, and it's perfect. And they all work perfectly together. But what happens is we forget to listen to that chord, and we get caught in what we should do here, in this existence, in this society, and we forget what we were created for and to do, which is perfect, and works perfect with everybody else. But it's like if I was a G chord and you were, say, an F chord, but you thought, oh, society kind of wants me to be an A, I don't really feel like an F, you fought it your whole life, we wouldn't be harmonious or be what we were.
So everybody has an inner purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
An inner music to themselves.
And
an inner note.
And it's perfect. And when we're all together, they create something we can't even imagine, which is perfection. Sure. And I think in different times and places, we're closer to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's like I like to tell everyone. I don't see like we live in a world today where everything's politically correct. Sure. I don't see race. People talk about stuff as like I don't even look at that as like
Sure.
I don't, because that's like a hot topic in almost everything now.
Yeah.
I don't see the outside appearances of things.
No, because if you really pay attention, I mean, the colors on the inside, and they're beautiful, vibrant colors, and they're all meant to go together, and they come from, a tone or a frequency. Yeah, I always thought that was interesting, that people would even notice the outside.
Yeah.
Maybe because I am visually impaired.
Yeah.
I just see what flows out from inside of people.
Yeah, like the aura. People can actually see people's auras.
Sure.
That's like you get the camera. They make a special camera where you can get a picture of your aura.
Sure.
I've always wanted to get a picture taken with that. But I don't know anyone does that. So.
I'd be afraid to do that. Like the devil standing behind me, like looking at his watch. Time's up.
It would be your own aura.
No.
Because they say like people that and like your aura can change color depending on what your talent is at the time or your mood. Like they say if people have like a green aura, it's like they have a green thumb for like growing things.
Right.
And like our friend Paul, he's definitely got a green aura. He can grow. Yeah. He can grow anything.
Sure.
Shelley's met Paul.
Oh, he's great.
And we'll have Paul on the show.
You'll need to. He's fabulous.
He is.
But
he is good.
It's like even like they talk about there's things out there, but people don't realize like the halo and angels and stuff.
Sure.
That's actually from aura. When you see a halo above someone, that means they're very divine, very, very good person.
Sure.
And people even said when Jesus walked the earth, people actually seen a halo above his head. They could actually see it.
Wow. Some people, yeah.
Yeah. But I read like people of the masses could see it. He was so good.
Enlightened.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that comes from, like, that's not myth. That's actually what people have reported. So that's where that, like, all in the pictures, that's where that came from.
Sure, that energy.
So,
well, I've been in places where that energy is very apparent. And here, of course, it's apparent. Only some people can see it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, people of antiquity, they painted what they saw.
Sure.
They didn't, really, trump anything up.
Sure.
That's what they saw. But the portals, getting back to the portals, which we believe is going between dimensions. And
they're nicknamed like wormholes now.
Yeah, or people call them wormholes now, right.
Okay.
Do you have any thought or feeling on how that might work? I know you've been through them.
I have. I have no idea.
Me either.
Actually, I have none. I never even know it's going to happen until it happens.
Right.
And then I'm not even aware it happened because I just live in the other place. I don't remember here. Right. I'm only aware when I come back here that it has happened at all. No, I've even tried to figure it out. No clue.
Yeah, some things I think we're just not meant to know.
Yeah. My best guess is when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a writer and a scientist. Yeah. And I always felt like I had a talent for science.
Sure.
And I see it in my son. He's like really he loves science, but I like to put science with like what I feel. And my best guess is, you ever see, we got all these electronic gadgets now. When you want to move a file from, let's say, your computer to another computer, my best guess of a wormhole is like a flash drive.
Maybe so.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe
it's
so.
something that connects two things.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's compatible. It's compatible on two different ends.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So at the one end, it fits into this, and the other end, it fits into that dimension.
That makes sense.
And then when you go in between, maybe it'll like converge your densities, and you'll now be compatible for the next one.
That makes sense.
So,
sure.
but
Well, some people think living examples of wormholes, portals, crop circles,
yeah,
people vanishing in thin air. Like you'll be talking to somebody, you know. One of the theories is a portal. They went into a portal,
Sure.
and the big one, Bermuda Triangle. People think there's portals in the Bermuda Triangle.
yeah, and I have all these same things written down.
Oh, well, there you go.
Really?
Yeah, there's actually a guy down in Texas. His kids were watching him. He was walking out of a cornfield, and he disappeared right in front of their eyes. They're like 100 feet away.
Wow.
And for like the next 5 years, you could hear his voice sometimes saying, "Help me!" Like he was stuck somewhere.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I remember reading that one.
Wow.
Some guy up in Connecticut, I can't remember. He was riding a bus, and he just disappeared. The next stop, he was gone.
Well, I will tell you this. There are different favorable conditions for this to happen. You know how, like, looking for spirits and so
Yeah.
forth. We've talked about there's different conditions that make
Yeah.
it more conducive. If you're not using your eyes as much, it's dark, so now you're paying attention to your other senses. Water, I think, is more conducive.
Right.
The stone is more conducive. There are days when I feel closer to the other places, and there are days like today, and you can feel more going on around you than the things you can see. So I think there are places that are more conducive and different atmospheric conditions, and maybe it has to do with frequency. Maybe
Yeah.
it's back to gravity again. I'm not sure. I can feel them. I don't know what they are, but I can feel them.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy things. There's like a road in Pittsburgh even. If you put your car in neutral, it'll go up the hill.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
we can actually go there someday because
Well, that would be a great investigation.
a friend of mine said he did that and his car went up the hill.
Wow.
Like gravity is like reversed there. There's
Wow.
actually places around the world where the houses will bend and you'll go up. Like it's
Wow.
like gravity's like opposite, and they cannot explain it.
That's really
So,
that'd be interesting.
Could
to
have,
see
yeah,
that.
interdimensional portal or something.
It might be like an off, like things aren't
messes
balanced.
with the gravity. Right.
There's even rumors that there's like mini black holes around the Earth, like so small, like the size of like an atom, but
Right.
it's like they're so small that it, instead of like destroying everything, like everyone thinks a black hole will just suck everything in,
Sure.
but a black hole can only suck in the size it is. So if you
Okay.
got a black hole that's the size of like an atom, like one single atom, it'll suck in stuff, but it can only suck in one atom at a time.
Oh, wow.
So it would take billions of years to destroy like 3 inches of space.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's funny.
so
There's like you're walking down the road, and there's like 3-inch square of missing space. That must be a black hole.
but the thing is, it's so big around everything, it will just refill with light and matter and stuff. But
Sure.
and the Earth's always growing and stuff. Like people don't understand, the Earth's getting bigger. Like every time something dies, it fossilizes, it turns into dirt. We actually have rocks that make water. I mean, make oxygen.
Really?
Yeah, the byproduct is like stalactites or not. I mean, I forget what the rock's called, but it's you can find most of them on the ocean floor. But they make an organism that secretes oxygen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that whole lot of the oxygen in the world comes from this organism, this like
Right.
rock-like thing. Yeah, where the microorganisms will go on it and they break down into oxygen. It's kind of crazy. It's
That is something. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and crop circles, like I mentioned, a lot of people think, crop circles are a message from another dimension. So some sort of, if it's humans coming back in time, or other species or aliens or whatever, they're coming through a portal and writing crop circles. Hey, and you figure this out. It's a mathematical puzzle. Figure this out, and you'll decipher the message. So crop circles.
I don't think all crop circles are fake.
No, I don't think all of them are. No, I really don't. I think some of them are real. I think there have been fake ones
Yeah,
made, of
sure.
course. But no, it's different. They said, you can tell the difference where some of them were laid down,
Yeah.
where some of them the cellular structure was actually bent.
Yeah.
You know, and those, they have magnetism
Yeah.
around them a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely some valid crop circles.
Which goes back to like the gravity.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
Well, oh, go ahead. You have something, Jack?
yeah, I got a few more with time travel
Sure.
and teleportation and portals. I think teleportation is a form of time travel. And I had a few ideas.
Okay.
Not only do you time travel, but you can also, people do this now. You can, instead of moving your body or a mass, you can move your thoughts.
Oh, absolutely.
So one way is remote viewing.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And if no one knows what this is, it's kind of like you go into like a meditative state and you focus everything to anywhere you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the CIA, the U.S. government, CIA actually like worked on this, but I don't know what year. It's a secret.
Sure. I think they still actually employ some people doing this. It's kind of a behind-the-scenes thing.
Yeah.
But they
Right.
have an entire department, actually, that they use to do this.
Wow, still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a movie out there called The Men That Stare at Goats. I haven't seen it yet.
Really?
Yeah,
But
I saw that movie.
It's
I didn't
about
hear of it.
remote view, how the government created a remote viewing.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it. Was it any good?
It was well, it was a comedy,
but
but it was good, yeah.
but
The premise is there, sure. Yeah. Well, Shelley, why don't you tell us a story? Because I remember you telling me one time that you had seen beings that possibly came through a portal in the bedroom.
You mean the ones that said, "How are things in your world?"
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us the
Oh,
story
wow.
a little bit.
Yeah, I was absolutely awake, and I know that I was awake because afterwards I thought, "Oh, please, I hope I was sleeping." But the entire time I watched the clock, and there were just these beings, and they came on the wall, and it shocked me. Have you ever had something scare you so bad it feels like hot electric go through
Yeah.
your body?
Yes.
And all of a sudden they just looked at me, and their voices were quavery almost, and they said, "How are things in your world?" And I just thought, I have to be dreaming. Please let
and
me
they
be dreaming.
were aware that you could see them.
Oh, sure.
So
They
that
were
was-
talking to me.
Wow.
And then they just kind of faded. It was the oddest thing. And I realized, I'm
Sounds
still
like
awake.
a resonance.
Well, they were these round.
Yeah, explain them, because it's really...
Okay, you know the children's toys that are a little bit sticky and you can throw them
Yeah,
out a window
yeah.
and then they kind of peel off
Yeah.
and roll down. They kind of look like that, but about the size of a kickball. And they had these spiky things kind of coming off of them.
Yeah.
But one was rounder, one was longer, and they had little thin arms, and their hands were such that like they could stick to the wall, like the ends of their fingers were sticky.
Yeah.
And they just looked at me. They had very large eyes and said, "How are things in your world?" The one did. And I thought, "Oh, let me be sleeping." But I watched them fade, and I never woke up, went to sleep. I was still there, just doing exactly what I was doing. Terrified, actually.
I wonder if they were like experimenting with time travel and dimensional portals, and maybe they were drawn to you. Maybe.
I'm not sure, but it was the most interesting thing. And
Wow.
I can truly say I was definitely not asleep. I wasn't dreaming. Eyes were open, just watched the day come in because I wasn't going back to sleep.
I get a feeling we're gonna have comments on this part right here. People,
Oh.
like they want to hear more about that. They're like, what? And they'll be
Yeah,
like,
you know,
Spider-Man,
they're
like,
like,
what?
Jack and Mike, who? No, we want Shelley. Paranormal Roads is hosted by Shelley.
No, that was
But
very
I always
interesting.
wondered, since you can, feel, and Jack, you can sense energy,
Sure.
and I can't. I'm just terrible. I can, the house could be on fire and I wouldn't know. I'm wondering if, like, the spirits or like the interdimensional beings know. They come to you because they know you can see. Do you think that's possible? Either of you?
Maybe
It's
they pick up on a vibration and
Or maybe they recognize that we pick up on the
Yeah.
vibration. It's all there all the time. Literally. It's just if you had earplugs in and the radio was on, you wouldn't hear it. And if other people had better hearing, they'd go, "Can't you hear that radio?"
and maybe they're saying how things in your world. Maybe it's like how you email someone and you can like mass email like 1 million people.
Sure.
Maybe they just like did that to like 1 million people.
Yeah, they could have been doing it to
one of the
everybody.
people that could see it.
That's possible.
It might have been an experiment. They were
Sure.
everybody on
Or
Earth.
seeing who could do it.
Sure.
See who would
Right.
pick you up.
Sure.
Okay, 7.5 billion people. Let's send a message and see who sees it.
Sure.
And it may
I saw
not.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back with like spirits and stuff, like teleportation. Like everyone talks about like portals to like the other side,
Sure.
which could be like in the spirits. But there's like I had an idea. If people can learn how to do this and stay in this realm, people have been talking about this. This pops up in horror movies and stuff, like transferring your mind into another person. Mind to body transfer.
Sure.
Right.
And you do see this where people get demonically possessed and stuff. But
Right.
I've never seen a human able to possess another human yet.
I think that people can send their thoughts to one another for sure.
Yeah.
It's actually, we do it all the time, and we don't even
Suggestion?
recognize it. Suggestion, thoughts. Yeah, I've had a lot of people around me that I must either throw. One time I cut my thumb, actually, but the webbing of my thumb. I was washing a thing. I had to go to the hospital, and I had a partner at that time, and my partner left their job and came to the hospital and said, "I heard you yell help.
Wow.
I'm going to the
So
hospital."
that's mind transfer.
I have had things
Yeah.
like that happen. People just show up. I mean, in the oddest places, and they say they've heard me go help, you know, and then they show up or they'll call. But that's the strongest example that I have. But I think people do it all the time, and they
Yeah,
don't recognize it. It can,
Yeah.
you can feel energy
Yeah.
between two people. I always call it touching bubbles.
Yeah.
You know, so you had said you don't necessarily have to go to another place. I think there's lots of places we go all the time and don't recognize it and are in different dimensions besides just our physical selves here.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and when you pray for people, you kind of do that too.
Oh,
Because
sure.
you're always like, you want to give out some good love for people.
Sure.
And you think about someone, and then you're hoping that some good will come to them.
Oh,
So
sure.
that's kind of like just trying to say, like, there's things that people do every day that what we're talking about.
Sure.
You may not think, oh, it's portals, times.
Sure.
These guys are crazy. But no, there's stuff you do every day that you don't even think about. Just thinking well of someone.
Did
Putting
you-
your mind out there. What's that?
Did you hear the ice cube experiment?
No.
There was a gentleman, and he wanted to see if this could truly happen. So he took these ice cubes, and he thought really, really happy thoughts at the water. And he didn't touch it at all. He used the same water, 3 different sets of experiments, and it froze normally. So the next set, he poured the same water out of the same pitcher. He froze it, and he thought very, very negative thoughts. And the crystals did not form correctly in every one of the ice cubes.
Oh, wow.
The last one, he poured the same water again, and he thought very, very loving, wonderful thoughts. And it made, somehow, it was different, but they were beautiful, the crystals. There's a book on it. I'll have to look it up and find out where it is. But it was the ice cube experiment, and he did a whole series where just thought. He didn't breathe on them. He didn't anything. They were away from him. Caused such a physical difference in how something was formed.
That's kind of like the music on plant experiment, huh?
What is that?
Where you play different types of music
Sure.
and see how the plants grow.
Really?
Yeah, and I think they said like heavy metal made the plants grow like faster and stronger.
Really?
So I mean, it's kind of like
Wow, it
kinda
excited
like-
him. then.
Yeah,
Teenage boys.
but if anyone's listening, do the ice experiment
Sure.
and contact us and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we didn't even plug our own show yet.
Yeah,
Shame on us. ParanormalRoads.com.
yeah. And you can comment at paranormalroads@gmail.com. Send us your comments, questions, answers. Just tell us what you think, and thanks.
Oh, well, do you have anything else? Because I want to...
Yeah, I actually have a theory that popped in my head.
Okay.
Because I knew he would have a lot of facts, so I was just putting stuff I thinking I wanted to talk about. I think I hit almost everything. I think everything I said, but I have this idea I had on. I'll just read what I wrote.
Yeah, what is it?
for time traveling. This is a time
Okay.
travel idea I had.
Right.
My idea is that when you freeze all atoms of something, like, well, before I do this, like, we're just talking about time traveling your mind, because I think that's a form of time traveling too.
Oh, sure.
When you send out your thought, and you can even send it out to the past. You ever think about you ever imagine yourself with the dinosaurs?
No, I have imagined myself in the past, but never with
But,
dinosaurs.
well, yeah, just pick some time in the past that you wanted to think of. Let's say the Wild West. Let's say that actually happened. Let's say that when you're imagining it and you see, like, everything in your mind, you get a real clear picture of something. Who's to say that's not real?
Sure.
Who's to say you're not remote viewing something that actually happened?
Sure.
That's true.
I have gone in dreams. I walk into a house and it's from like the 1980s. I go to the next room back and it's maybe the 1960s. I go to the next room back, it's like the 1800s. The next room back, and it goes back and back and back and back in time, each room that I go to, until I'm at a place, it's stone. There's a lot of stone. People are living in stone. And just all the way through this house. But it feels so natural to me. And to this day, when I see stone buildings or touch the stone on buildings and stuff, I'm so homesick.
From
You
the
know?
past.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I just feel like sometimes I'm in the wrong place. I miss that so much, you know?
Oh, wow. So, time travel is in the Bible in another way, Jack. Remember what Jesus said? My Father's house has many rooms.
Yes.
Maybe he was talking about time travel.
Yeah, yeah,
Jason,
yeah.
JC helping us out there.
Perhaps.
But,
One other experiment
Yeah.
that I've done is with vibration. If you meditate and you find a tone, like I have one tone that I said, I only did this for a brief time because it scared me, honestly. I'll have to try it again in the future. Maybe somebody can and comment to you.
Yeah.
If you find a tone and you just say it over and over, like or whatever your tone
Yeah.
is, I found that I understood that the things around us are all just real small, like little tiny BBs,
Yeah.
and they can be moved just as simply as you wipe your hand through them. Time, space, the way things are built. When I saw that and truly understood that everything around me could just be moved with a swish of my hand based on a specific tone, it was like my body had turned into that. It scared me so bad. I put because I had recorded myself making this tone so I could hear it and I could do it myself. I put them all away. So if anyone else wants to try that, just pick a tone that feels very, very comfortable to you and say it in intervals where you hold it for 6 or 8 minutes and see if it happens to you.
You're going to find this crazy. But what I wrote down here sounds a lot, my idea of time travel sounds almost exactly what you just said.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to read this to you. This is just something that popped out of my head. I didn't think about it. I was just like, time travel, and then I just wrote this down. Freeze all atoms. Now I'm trying to think scientifically plus metaphysically. Freeze all atoms of an object and restart, and when you restart it will then leap into time to where it should have been. And the way you do that is you find a way to hold all of your atoms at a frequency or a tone to appear still.
Sure.
So my idea is if all the atoms in your whole body are in the same frequency, you will become still.
Yes.
And then create an equilibrium. And this occurs in nature periodically.
Actually,
And-
we look solid, but we're not. I think we're little tiny pieces.
And so whenever you're still for the moment,
Sure.
the rest of time is going on. And then when you go back to your unstillness, you leap. You can't travel through time, but what you do is you have to actually leap ahead.
I gotcha.
You have to leap ahead of where you were so you can appear back where you could be.
Wow.
Wow, you know what? That's very poetic. I'm like, it sounded like you were reading a poem to me. Like you were doing technical, but I'm thinking poem.
But I just
cool.
wrote that down, and what you were saying, I was like, that is kind of like, you understand me, because that's exactly what I'm thinking. You have to, every atom in your body has to be equal.
Sure.
At a frequency or a
Yeah.
tone. And when you can get that, and people do this stuff with like meditation, but then I was thinking of the mind, because the easiest thing you can get focused on a tone is just your mind alone.
Well, the funny thing is I'd not meditated. I don't meditate, but it just came into my mind about this tone thing.
Yeah.
To just be silence everything in my mind, but make this tone over and over. I don't even know why I did it. I can't remember. But it was just something I really wanted to try. And it was 2 or 3 weeks in, and I had done it over in the morning and in the evening. And when that happened, and I understood that everything was just made up of like BB looking things. They're kind of gray but not shiny. And you can just move them, time, space, the way things are built, but the tones are all the same, like you said. Like right now we may be various colors or movements, all the same, and then they can just be swished around, move, change.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, because whenever everything's equal, then you can control it.
Completely harmonious.
Yeah.
Or not, what would it be? Is a harmonious is different, or is that the same
it's
thing?
harmonious, yeah.
Okay.
And here's a good example. If there is a possibility you can balance a spoon on a needle.
Really?
Yes. I tried to do it back. I remember a teacher told me you could actually do this, but no one can actually balance it good. But it is scientifically possible to do it. If you can find the equilibrium, can find the equilibrium spot, you can balance anything.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you can balance yourself, then you can time travel. I think you can time travel just by thinking of it. If you could master the ability to home in every part of you.
That is a feat. But maybe the tone. If you were going to try it, I would suggest you find that tone. And just over and over say that tone.
Yes, but I also think, like what you're saying earlier, you have to find your tone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody has their own frequency or tone.
Sure.
And if you have to make sure you get the right one, because there's a lot of people that meditate, and they're really good at meditating, but maybe they're on the wrong page.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, meditation is not something I'm real familiar with. I really can't remember why I tried that. Just frequency seemed very important to me. Huh. But yeah, I think everybody has their own. Yeah. I agree with you.
But I just find it I was going to say this, and then you started saying that. I was like, oh my goodness, this sounds so much like what I'm saying.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't think you can really... and then the thing, I don't think you can travel through time. You can't exist where you didn't exist.
Right.
But what you can do is you can leap.
Sure.
I think you can leap over things. So you could...
Sure.
So...
Yeah, and I don't believe I have another Bible reference, because I never have them, but Jesus again said if you have faith, you can move a mountain. You can just tell the mountain to move. And that kind of reminds me of what you're saying, Shelley and Jack.
Yeah.
You can literally, physically do it. But did you have anything else? Any other?
No,
that was really good.
That was my final thought. I just, for some reason, that popped in my head.
Yeah.
And it seems really relevant now.
When I
read it, it was silly. I was like, oh, this...
No, I think so.
Only on paranormalroads.com can you get this on the podcast show.
Yeah. So, is that a wrap? Or
no, it's not a wrap. I want to do something fun.
Okay.
And I don't really like to bring politics too much into it, especially specific people in politics and the paranormal. But this has been around so long, and I just get the biggest tickle. It just tickles me. It is hilarious. And Jack, you'll know. You don't know right now because we didn't pre-write the show.
Yeah.
I just jotted down some notes. But you'll get it. Andrew, I think his last name is Bisagio.
Oh, this guy. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Andrew Bisagio.
Okay, and you can find Project Pegasus. Andrew Bisagio belonged to Project Pegasus. And you can look up on Google, YouTube, whatever. This guy's a lawyer. He's
from
a guy.
Seattle, right? Somewhere around there, Washington.
I don't know.
We got to get this guy interviewed. If you're out there, Andrew, you gotta. We're gonna try to contact you. But go ahead, Mike.
Well, I don't even know if Shelley knows. She might know. Okay. He was part of Project Pegasus. He claims. Yeah, he claims he was teleported and time traveled as a young child, which was a government experiment to test the mental and physical effects of time travel on kids. Right, and this was back in the early 80s. Well, guess who one of the kids went through the program with him? There was a young boy. His name was Barry Soetoro. And who is Barry Soetoro, Jack?
Our president.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Barack Obama's
President Barack Obama.
his given name was Barry Soetoro.
Wow.
This guy claims he used portals and time travel
To
technology,
And they went to Mars.
and they went to Mars. And he also there's
And
a
they
famous
knew the future.
Wow.
And they told Barry that he was going to be president.
right.
And he said he was really cocky about it when he was a kid. He's like, I'm going to be president.
Yeah, and he's told everybody. Well, this is the story. None of this is validated as true. We learned it all, from this guy.
He could be a crazy guy.
Sure.
But if we interview, we'll make that decision.
That's right.
But he also says that he's going to be president also one day.
Right, he's on the
That's definitely
list.
something
He's
to
on the
keep an eye
list.
out for.
Yeah.
Then that would be validation, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely it would. So, I just thought that was a fun little story to throw in there.
We could do a whole show on that.
Oh,
but-
sure. Well,
But
yeah, we could do a whole show on it, but
maybe interview that guy. If we can get a hold of him.
yeah, you know what? We're going to leave it there because we're going to do a show on that. I have a whole,
But that's teleportation and time travel right there.
a whole page of notes. But you know what? We're gonna do a show on that.
But yeah.
Obama goes to Mars. But that's what if you can go right now and listen. The videos are out there. The
He's
guy
done interviews with people and he's got websites.
yeah.
But if we can interview him, I think we can come up with some interesting questions.
And my favorite topic, aliens, because aliens come into that.
Yeah.
When they go to Mars, there's aliens involved.
Oh, wow.
Animals
Animals
that kill people.
There's
You can learn how to-
there's a whole alien agenda there. So
Wow.
yeah, we can totally do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
So we won't get into that, but I had to throw that in because it's just
It's teleportation, yeah.
yeah, it's just fun. That's just a fun story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. I'm not saying I believe that because it's so far fetched. But it's so funny to talk about because who knows?
Yeah.
You never know. There's paranormal roads. Paranormal roads will have you thinking. We'll have you thinking about things you thought you didn't know. We'll have you thinking about things you thought you knew. And now you're going to be changing your mind. Possibly.
Right. So with time travel, we've discussed earlier of how there is time travel. Even NASA will say it's time travel. When you go up to space and the time changes, it's time travel.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
know, they if they email you something from a plane, it's like a few 300ths of a second slower than if they do it down here.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
so
there you
that
have it.
so if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a handful, the scientists will come out and say, yes, there is time travel. There's evidence of it. How many more are there? There's probably thousands or tens of thousands of different small ones that we haven't even thought of yet. So time travel and portals, we live with it every day. It's not something out in space or science fiction. We live with it every day. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to wrap up the show with that.
I'll ask one last thought. With time travel, if they can ever get any anything made with it, probably the most practical thing they can do is just send information. You know how valuable that is?
Oh, yeah.
If you could just send information to the past or to the future or receive information,
Yeah.
you could control the world. Whoever controls the information flow of things pretty much will rule the world.
But how
Sure.
would that happen? If you know something in the future and you send it back to the past, you would change the future.
You could change the future. But then you would still control the future.
But then would you still send
You
it
would-
back to the past if you changed the future?
Well, I don't
think
know.
you would.
Just-
You would make the future so that whoever had that power would rule.
yeah, I mean, and
Hopefully it'd be somebody good.
Yeah.
Somebody with good motives.
right. And if you're Marty McFly, you don't want to run into yourself when you go back in the future.
Don't buy that almanac.
Yeah, just keep away from lightning. All right, well, we're gonna end the show there. Again, we greatly thank Shelley for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Your insights are always welcome
Well, I
and
always learn
appreciated.
so much.
Yeah,
When I listen
yeah.
to you guys.
And so,
I'm Jack, and I'm saying go to paranormalroads.com. Thanks for listening. And I'm signing off.
yeah, I'm Mike. I say the same thing, except I add a little extra. Check out Alien Search Guide. Go on the Google, type in Alien Search Guide. buy my book, 99 cents. It's a fun read. And that's about it. So thanks for joining us here at Paranormal Roads.
Bye.
Bye.